Hey everybody, and welcome to another week of me playing through my Steam library, starting with the worst games first. I have a personal rule where I don't read the reviews and I try not to go to the discussion page to see anything about the game because I don't really want to have additional bias about the game. I already know that it's bad based on its score, so I don't really want to know why it's bad before I play it. I just like to play it. But a few of these games, in fact, most of these games this week, I had to go to the discussion page because either the game wasn't working or there was just something about the game where I needed to know what was up with it. So I broke my rule this week, and you'll see why in the games up ahead. So let's get to them. Urizen, Shadows of the Cold. I would have said I liked this game, except for I ran into a problem very early on, which led me to the discussion page, but I couldn't find any help. The main problem people had was they thought they were froze on the main screen, but I think maybe they didn't have a controller, because that's the only way I could get it to work. Most of these characters are the same as the one next to him, just reskinned. As you can see, the map is very extensive, so if somehow I can get past the one level I'm stuck on, I'm in for some fun, I guess. This is the boss right here, this little black guy, and that was where I got stuck eventually. If I had to describe the style, I would say it's a mix between MS Paint and retro, but I actually kinda like it. Each character has their own ranged and melee weapon, but I kinda just stuck with the ranged one, cause it was easiest just to blast people with fireballs. That sound, I think, indicates that this is probably a collaboration between an adult and a child. The heroes all seem like they were probably made by a kid, and the bad guys were probably all made by an adult. You have to collect coins and these gem things. I'm not sure what the coins do, but I think the gems give you health. This is the boss level I got stuck at. I figured out if you hit both of these weapons at the same time, it does some crazy stuff. There's a giant pit here I can't get across. Here's some of the various characters and me spamming their abilities just so you can look at them. I don't show you all the characters because to restart the game and select a new character, you have to go back to the load screen, which takes a minute before you can do anything, and that just was getting very tedious. I couldn't figure out how to get past this pit, but I did find that if you go to the left here, it kinda hacks the map and you can go to the right and see that the boss is there, but I'm not sure how to get to him. I couldn't find anything on the discussion page to figure out how to get past it. Get rich or die gaming. If you play this game, you'll surely want to die. The art's terrible, and it's full of memes. The audio is on par with the visuals, I would have to say. I'm gonna have to spare you from it, because otherwise it would kind of be confusing with the narration. There's noticeable laughter, which is kind of confusing during the dialogue, which is also poorly written, and the microphone quality, if you can believe it, was worse than in my previous videos. They keep using this term baller, which apparently is someone who is insane and makes a lot of money. This is a drug dealer, and according to their website, is the #1 funniest character in the game. So you go to this exterior, since this is a point and click, and you go and point and click your way to this fast food place where this guy makes some references to some things I don't know about, and if I would have to guess, I would say most people don't know about. And then you take the fast food and go back to a bakery and try to sell it to this guy who's obviously kinda like Gordon Ramsay, but he's got an Australian accent, and the game will always crash, no matter which option here you select. This is what made me break my rule of not going to a Steam Games discussion page and seeing what was up about it. I just needed to because I'd only played 10 minutes of it and I wasn't going to have a lot of footage otherwise. It turns out the game crashes for just about everyone except for the developer, who probably has a dev kit on his computer which allows the game to actually run. He doesn't really seem interested in figuring it out from this short, pathetic reply to the many people saying that the game doesn't work. The game came out in 2010, but due to recent greenlighting, it was put on the Steam store. Probably because LOL, it says baller, ha ha ha, so funny. But when I went to the game's webpage, I found this interesting section where it unprofessionally talks about the development of the game, and it was going to be called Get Rich or Dota until Valve trademarked Dota. So fuck you, Valve, it says right here. Okay, well, I think the fact that the game doesn't work, and this guy says fuck you, Valve, is a great reason for Valve to pull the game from the store, and to give everyone a refund if they can. Snow Light, I wasn't sure if I should play this or not because it's more of a visual novel, but the description on the store page does say it's a game, so I'm going to treat it as such. The store page also says that it costs almost $100. The developer claims every time Valve wires him money that he's charged $20, so in protest he has raised the price to this. The discussion page says that this is likely his bank account, which is free to maintain but charges him for such things as international wire transfers. You can see from this glossary that the story has a ton of characters and organizations, which makes it really hard to follow, so I'm basically just going to focus in on the artwork, and mainly the tits. The tits seem to always defy how physics work by bending shadows into a strange and unnatural form. I'm not sure what's with the one that's on top of her chest and why they seem to cup her breasts as if they were a bra, but shadows, I'm pretty sure, do not work that way. All of the men are drawn very weirdly, but luckily the game is mostly women. The artwork is mainly a template style, it seems, where there's a few bodies and they change the skin color, hair, and eyes, and put a different nose and mouth in various places, and that's about it. You can really see this when it flips around a bunch of women in a dialogue and they all have their mouths slightly open. What's with this? The mouth is in the wrong place. She does not have a gash on her face. This is apparently an orgy, and you can tell from the line of women how the template system is in play. I really do not need to see this man's nipples, but I guess I had to. All of the guns are this perspective and they appear to be traced in Photoshop. I feel like this really belongs in DeviantArt and not on the Steam store, but I guess it's not the worst art in the world. They do have a gallery of how the game was developed. The footage I showed you was all from the last chapter, but if you were to see the first few chapters, the art actually is kinda way worse. There's a lot of JPEG artifacting and weirdness, and the artwork actually gets better through the game, but not worth $100. Bloodbath. Gee, that enter key sure does look familiar. You never see those weird shaped enter keys like that anymore. Where could that be from? Oh yeah, Kick-Ass 2. Okay, so let's figure out how to play. Got some options here. Looks like we have vibrate, so I'll be able to use my controller. Golly, that mouse sure looks familiar. I wonder where that could be from. Oh yeah, Kick-Ass 2. Turns out, same developer. They've made 3 games and 2 of them were poop. Try the online mode because that seems to be the official way to play. After a minute and a half of this loading screen, you get this message here. So either no one's playing or I couldn't figure out how to get it to work despite tinkering with my router and turning off my firewall. So I guess we have to play the training mode. You can select from these 5 dudes. I'm not sure if you can unlock the last person because I never got experience for any of the fights. Just like in Kick-Ass 2, you've got terrible camera problems. It doesn't really follow you around right. The only difference between the 2 training modes is that big fat guy. Each dude has a special move that you get to use every now and then. The gameplay was pretty terrible. You do get to do some combos, but they just weren't really great. Here's the hockey dude's thing. This guy had the best special move where he farts on the ground and makes everyone super vulnerable to his attacks. The luchador has a pretty cool one too because he just spins around and punches everyone in the face. Oh yeah. Viking was very disappointing. His hammer doesn't do what I thought it would do. I basically just mashed the buttons. If you don't seem to mash them fast enough, you lose your combo thing and it doesn't do anything. The gameplay, as I expected since I knew it was involved with Kick-Ass 2 developers, was not good. Power of Defense. Now this artwork looks like something you would find on the back of a high schooler's notebook. It's kind of okay. I don't mind it. This typewriter sound though, I do mind. That is really ratcheting at my brain. The color choices for the level itself, a little questionable, but I'll forgive him for that. This robot on the right though, he looks pretty cool. So these different color tracks are for my robots and the enemy robots, and we're trying to get into the portals on either side of the track and enter each other's world to destroy it. I think that's basically what the story is. It's a really tug-of-war type game. I found the best way to deal with things is to let my robots build up before sending them out. Otherwise, they would kind of just get crushed because the enemies are always in little groups. So I would make 3 offensive robots and then 1 that collects up the barrels of resources in order to build more robots. and that served me pretty well. I was able to get pretty far in the game, I felt. I didn't lose after I figured out how to do that anyways. As you can see, the one robot is sucking up barrels. You can't really tell what you're building unless you hover over the price, and then it'll make a little pop-up and it'll say what kind of robot that is, and that's a little wonky, but it's not the worst thing in the world. There's upgrades for each type of robot, and the best one to get is the ones for the recycler one. Now, I think this is the 3rd or 4th level, and the art really just takes a nosedive here. Seems like they forgot a texture on the tracks or something. The robots always have really good artwork compared to the humanoid, so I'm not sure if a human actually made this. I think a robot might have made it, and that would explain the color choices. I don't think robots know very good color schemes. I like this game though, it was fun. So I know I said last week that I thought the games were going to start getting better, but these were all pretty much really terrible except for Power of Defense, which did have a lot of problems with the artwork and the sound, but I did enjoy it, maybe because the other 4 games were just so terrible to go through. Really hoping next week's going to be some good games, but if not, they'll be fun to check out either way. So I'll see you next time.